Okay, let's do some factor by grouping. A lot of people are confused about when we're going to try this. Okay, a lot of times factor by grouping, my highest power is going to be 3, and there's not going to be any gaps. It's going to go 3, 2, 1, and none. The more practice you do with factoring, you're going to start catching on to some of these patterns. Okay, the easiest way to try to group is to always group your first 2 and your last 2. What I'm looking at in those is to see if there's something common in everything here. When I look at that, I notice that there is an x squared. So I can pull out an x squared. Now, a lot of people are confused about what goes here and what comes out and what's left over. I notice there's an x squared in both of these terms. So it's like taking each of these terms and dividing it by an x squared. Okay, when I do that, I can cancel, and in this first term, whatever this is goes here. In this first term, I'm left with an x. In the second term, both of those x squareds cancel evenly, and I'm left with a minus 3. Okay, now I'm going to look at this one. I'm going to find out what looks common. Well, it looks like there's a 4 common in both of these. So whatever I think is common is what's going to go out here. And it's a positive 4. Okay, that's like dividing each term by 4. My 4's cancel. I'm left with an x. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. So I'm going to have a negative 3. I'm going to close my brackets. This is still equal to 0. So from there, I'm going to look and see what is common in both of those. This is common. Just like before, whatever's common goes to the front. So I'm going to bring this to the front, x minus 3. That is like taking each of these terms and dividing by x minus 3. Dividing by x minus 3. Those cancel, and I'm just left with x squared plus 4. At this point, I'd look to see if I could factor these any more. This is not a difference of squares because difference means subtraction, and this is addition. I have a single x here, and I only have one x in this one, so I can set each of these equal to 0. So x minus 3 equals 0. X squared plus 4 equals 0. Now I just have to solve. Add 3, x equals 3. That is going to be one of my roots. That means it's going to hit the x-intercept at 3. Subtract 4 from both sides. X squared equals negative 4. Okay, from here to undo a square, I have to square root both sides, which means I have a plus or minus. Anytime I have a negative under the radical, I have to take the I out. So x equals I, plus or minus, do not forget our plus or minus, the square root of 4. The square root of 4 can reduce to 2, so x equals plus or minus 2i. Okay, so like we've talked about in previously, 3 roots. I started with a power of 3, check and balance. This one is going to have an x-intercept. This one will not touch the x-intercept. Okay, there will not be any intercepts here. So this graph, power of 3, is only going to touch the x-axis one time.